My sister's scream sliced through the quiet of our family dinner like a knife through flesh. "You're a disgrace, Lila. You and that baby will ruin everything." Her words, venomous and raw, hung in the air as my parents sat frozen, their forks suspended, their eyes darting between us. I was 6 months pregnant, unmarried, and suddenly the black sheep in a family that had always worshipped my sister, Claire, the golden child who could do no wrong. Growing up, Claire was the sun, and I was the shadow trailing behind her. She was the straight-A student, the debate team captain, the one whose name was etched on every trophy in our living room. I was the quiet one, the artist, the dreamer who never quite fit the mold of our parents' expectations. They adored Claire's perfection, her polished smile, her predictable success. Me, I was the afterthought, the one who got paint on the carpet, the one who dared to live outside their script. But when I found out I was pregnant, I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd see me, really see me for the first time. I was wrong. The news broke on a Sunday evening, over roast chicken and mashed potatoes. I'd rehearsed the words for weeks, my hands trembling as I set them free. "I'm pregnant," I said, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. I expected shock, maybe disappointment, but not the explosion that followed. Claire's face twisted, her eyes narrowing into slits. "You're joking, right? You, of all people, bringing a child into this world." Her voice dripped with disdain, as if my pregnancy was a personal attack on her pristine life. My parents didn't defend me. Instead, my mother's lips pursed, and my father muttered, "Lila, how could you be so reckless?" The weeks that followed were a descent into a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Claire's resentment grew sharper, her words more vicious. She'd corner me in the kitchen, whispering things that made my blood run cold. "That baby doesn't deserve to be born," she hissed one night, her breath hot against my ear. "You're not fit to be a mother." I'd lie awake at night, my hand resting on my swelling belly, wondering how my own sister could wish such harm on me and my unborn child. I felt her hatred like a physical weight, pressing against my chest, stealing my breath, but I refused to let it break me. This baby was mine, a flicker of hope in a world that felt increasingly hostile. I tried to keep the peace, for my parents' sake. They'd always favored Claire, but I thought they'd at least protect me now, when I needed them most. Instead, they turned a blind eye to her cruelty. "She's just stressed," my mother said, waving off Claire's threats as if they were childish tantrums. "You know how important her career is. You've upset the balance." "Lila, my father was worse. He'd lecture me about responsibility, about how my choices were tearing the family apart. They never once asked how I was feeling, how I was coping with the life growing inside me, or how Claire's words cut deeper than any knife. The breaking point came at a family gathering, one of those suffocating affairs where relatives pretend everything's fine while sipping lukewarm wine. Claire, radiant as ever in her tailored dress, pulled me aside. Her smile was a mask, but her words were poison. "You think that baby will make you special, it'll just be another mistake. Like you," something in me snapped. I pushed back, my voice low but firm. "You don't get to decide who I am or what my child will be." For the first time, I saw a flicker of surprise in her eyes, but it quickly hardened into rage. She stormed off, and I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The next day, my parents called me into the living room, their faces grim. Claire sat on the couch, arms crossed, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. "We've talked," my father began, his voice heavy with authority. "You need to apologize to Claire. She's upset, and this family can't function with all this tension." I stared at them, disbelief coursing through me. Apologize for what? For existing? For daring to create life? My mother chimed in, her tone softer but no less cutting. "Lila, you've always been the difficult one. Just say you're sorry, and we can move on." I felt the room shrink, the walls closing in as their words echoed Claire's cruelty. My hand instinctively went to my belly, where my baby kicked, a tiny reminder of why I couldn't bend. No, I said, my voice shaking but resolute. I won't apologize for my child. I won't apologize for being me. Claire's smirk vanished, replaced by a scowl. My parents exchanged a glance, their disappointment palpable. You're choosing this path, Leela, my father said. Then you're choosing to be alone. Alone. The word stung, but it also set me free. I walked out of that house, my heart pounding, my future uncertain but mine to shape. I moved into a small apartment, just me and the baby I was determined to protect. I painted the nursery walls with soft blues and yellows, each stroke a promise to my child that they'd be loved, no matter what. I found a job at an art gallery, surrounded by people who saw my talent, not my failures. Slowly, I built a life that wasn't defined by Claire's shadow or my parents' expectations. Months later, I gave birth to a daughter, Mia, with eyes that sparkled like the stars I used to sketch as a child. Holding her, I felt a love so fierce it drowned out the pain of my family's rejection. But the story didn't end there. Claire, still the golden child, sent a letter, not to congratulate me but to remind me of my place. You'll never be enough, she wrote. I burned it, watching the flames consume her words. My parents called, demanding I make things right. But I hung up. I was done chasing their approval. Yet, the ache lingered. I wondered why Claire hated me so much, why my parents couldn't see me as their daughter, not just a problem to fix. I started therapy, unraveling the years of being overshadowed, of being told I was less. I learned that Claire's resentment wasn't about me, it was about her own fears, her need to stay perfect in a world that demanded it. My parents, too, were trapped in their own narrative, unable to break free. I pitied them, but I didn't go back. Mia deserved a mother who was whole, not one diminished by a family that couldn't love her fully. As Mia grew, I taught her to paint, to dream, to stand tall even when the world tried to pull her down. We'd sit in the park, her tiny hands smearing colors on a canvas, and I'd tell her stories of resilience, of choosing yourself when others turn away. I wasn't perfect, but I was hers, and that was enough. My family never reached out again, and I stopped waiting. I found a new family in friends, in colleagues, in the laughter of my daughter. This story isn't just mine, it's a question. What do you do when the people who should love you most demand you shrink? When envy and expectation outweigh compassion? Share your thoughts, what's right, what's wrong, and where do we go from here?